Hi, thank you for joining me for a quick look at Alan Hovhaness's work for solo viola, Chahagir. Alan Hovhaness was an American composer of Armenian heritage who was amazingly prolific as a composer. He wrote over 500 works. Unfortunately, only one of these was for viola, but it's a great one. This piece is evocative of his Armenian heritage and has a distinctly Middle Eastern style to it. Chahagir is a wonderful piece that I like to think of as having two main components to it. The opening section is marked as being mysterious, and it has a rather light feel to it, and it's fairly slow and melodic. This section I like to keep a bit of a lighter sound. He has these augmented seconds, which give it this distinctly Middle Eastern style. And in this, I like to keep it flowing, but with a little bit of freedom in the rhythm. So these opening melodic passages that occur throughout this piece can have some flexibility to them. This melodic material goes on for a while, and then we have a second musical idea that's introduced, and that's these chordal passages. And these are quite different in that they are a more ceremonial style of writing. You can imagine during these chordal passages that this is where the person, any one of us, could be marching down an aisle or in some sort of palace, holding our torch aloft and hopefully not getting it too close to the viola. And the rhythm can be a little bit more stately and steady. One thing that I like to think about a little bit in this passage is that he writes grace notes for the bottom notes of the chord. And it's easy if we play them too quickly and we don't pull the sound out enough, the chords can sound a little bit top-heavy. And so I like to give a little bit more sound on those grace notes on the bottom so that we have a little bit more richness in the harmony of these. And that way, they can have a stately feel, and we can really hear all the harmonic motion that's happening in those figures. There's places in this piece where Hovhaness uses these two ideas and intertwines them. And I feel that it's important that we keep the identity of each one of these different sections very clear, even though he intersperses one with the other, just so we continue to have this idea of these quite different ideas happening, that they don't become too much the same. Lastly, in this piece, one thing that I find very helpful is to be careful with dynamics. He writes the first chordal passage in the first page as forte, and later when he brings it back in a more triumphant fashion, he marks it as fortissimo. So one piece of advice that I would have is to make sure that you pace your dynamics, particularly in the chordal passages, but also in the melodic passages, so that we end the piece and we give our biggest dynamic and most sound, saving it for the very end. I hope that you enjoy practicing and performing Chahagir as much as I have. Thanks so much for listening.